Hi everyone, I'm Molly and welcome to Goody Goody Gumdrops. Today I'm going to be making banana bread. So for this recipe you will need 3 large, very ripe bananas, flour, sugar, eggs, butter, salt, vanilla, and baking soda. Pretty simple. So you're also going to need 2 bowls, a bread pan, a fork, and a spoon. So the first thing that I'm going to do is preheat my oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And now I'm going to mash up these 3 bananas with a fork. So just peel your bananas into your bowl and then give them all a good mashing. And it'll probably be easier if you just break them into smaller pieces first. So just mash it down with a fork like this and continue to mash until they are very smashed up. And I'll show you what that looks like in just a second. Okay, so this is done. You want to just continually mash with the back of your fork until you have this like baby food-like consistency. It's okay to have a few lumps, but this is why you need to use over-ripened bananas that have already started to turn brown. If you were to use a fresh banana, you will not get the same liquidy effect that we have here. It won't be as liquidy and it will be mushy, but it's not going to work out the same in your bread. And you really need this extra liquid because in this bread, we're not adding milk or water or even oil. So the most of the liquid in this bread is coming from these bananas. So please make sure that you use over-ripened bananas that have already started to turn brown. So now I'm going to put this to the side and I'm going to take my other bowl and I'm going to cream 1 stick of butter with 1 cup of sugar with my electric mixer. It's a little too much. So to do that, you need to make sure that your butter has come up to room temperature. You don't want it to be liquid and you don't want it to be hard and cold. If it's liquid, it's just going to melt and make a paste. If it's too hard, it's not going to mix correctly with the butter. So just beat this on medium speed for about 3 to 5 minutes until it's like the consistency of mashed potatoes or whipped cream. Okay, now that the butter has been creamed, I'm going to add 2 eggs and half of a teaspoon of vanilla. These eggs have come up to room temperature. You don't want to use cold eggs or cold butter in this recipe because the cold eggs will make the butter get hard and it will kind of ruin the consistency of the whole bread. So I'm going to add them 1 egg at a time. I'm just going to crack one in here and blend it with my mixer. Now I'm going to add the second egg and the vanilla. I don't want to add it all at one time because that is a lot to incorporate into the butter. You want to do it in a slower process. So just mix this on low for just a few seconds. And now I'm going to mix in my bananas. And I'm going to also do that with my electric mixer. Now when you're mixing this or any other recipe with an electric mixer, make sure that you take special care in scraping down the sides because a lot of the mix will get thrown up to the side and it won't be incorporated into it, and it'll be a different consistency as you continue to mix. So you want to make sure that you get all of those ingredients into there, which is why it's very important to scrape down the sides of your bowl. So I'm just going to mix this on low just for about maybe 30 seconds to get it all blended together. Alright, now that this has been mixed, it's perfectly normal for it to look a little strange and maybe just like gross, gloopy, like undesirable, but that's fine. That's the banana staying separate from the butter. It's not really going to incorporate all the way, and it's not really supposed to. So next I'm going to add the flour, baking soda, and salt. So I'm going to add 1 1/4 cup of flour. And I'm also going to add 1 teaspoon of baking soda and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. So you want to make sure when you're measuring flour that your flour is packed and level, because you are not going to get the same measurements if you use loosely scooped flour. So 1 cup of flour and then 1/4. And even though this is, I'm using a large cup for a small measurement, you can still pack it down to the line just so you know that you have the right measurement. And now I'm going to add a teaspoon of baking soda, nice level teaspoon, and 1/2 teaspoon of just regular table salt. And now I'm not going to mix this, as you can see with my mixer. I'm going to just stir it by hand. So just give the baking soda and a little whisk on top, or a stir on top, to get those all mixed together, and then just mix this in to your butter and banana mixture. Now that the flour and baking soda and salt have been mixed in, you can see that this is a much more desirable consistency. So now what I'm going to do is place it into my loaf pan. So I'm just putting warm butter with my clean hands all over the pan so the bread will not stick. And this is not thick bread like that you need to roll out or knead. It's a very thin consistency. So you're just going to pour it out into your loaf pan very simply. And now that it has been poured in here, I'm going to bake it in a 350-degree oven for about 55 minutes, and I will be back to show you how it all turns out. So I just took the bread out of the oven, and you can see that when you touch it, it springs back. It's springy to the touch, and you can also test it by sticking a knife into the center and then pulling it out clean, and then you know it's done. So what you want to do is just turn it out onto a wire rack or a plate and let it cool for about at least a half hour before you cut it. This is the finished banana bread. So if you want, you can let it cool overnight before you serve it, and make sure that you store it in an airtight container or cover it in plastic wrap. And now I'm going to cut it and try some. This is very good, and it's not very strongly banana flavored. I think it's just the perfect amount of banana and sweetness. It is very delicious. So don't forget to subscribe, like, and share, and come back for more goodies, and I will see you next time. Bye! This is really super good. I like to put butter on my banana bread, so that is a little tip for you.